So based on the 4 lectures, so we will be start to the panel discussion. So we want to introduce a panelist from the left side, Mr. Mitsuhiro Ikeda. So Mr. Shunsuke Ito. So Mr. Tan Unsen. Ms. Chu Biren. And the moderator in the center is Director of the Educational Facility Research Center of the Naoto Fukabori. He is a moderator. So, Mr. Fukabori, start to moderate. So, I want to be the moderator. So, for panelists, thank you very much for your participation. So in the first part of the presentation, it was a theme of the both Singapore and Japan share the common trend of the recent education reform, emphasis of the individual learning and the collaborative learning. It was also confirmed the facility must evolve the response to this educational reform. In the second part, we invite all panelists, presenters to continue to the participating as we deepen our discussion of the ideal form of the school facility to support educational reform. We will explore this from the perspective of the creating the learning space that support each individual learning and the developing environment that support the activities and the student, teacher, and staff. First one is learning and the space relationship. We want to focus on the how to space is related for the student. So both Singapore and Japan. So not only the layout change of the school schoolroom, so a different layout and also to use outside of the classroom. So for the from the perspective of the student. So how do you feel about the effect of the using such a diverse location or the layout beyond the classroom, such as the improvement of the student learning outcome? So have you ever feel to the any changes? So Professor Cho and Professor Ito, for the both of the facility expert, please answer. So the Cho, please. Professor Cho, please. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for a very important question. Yes, definitely. I think we need to explore the spaces outside the classroom to facilitate different learning processes and also developing different competency, right? Important skill sets like communication skills, these are all very important, and spaces outside the classroom can facilitate that. So I really enjoy Professor Sun Shikit presentation, where he also showed common multi-purpose rooms where you can have flexible arrangement, outside the classroom context to support diverse learning styles and needs of the students. I would like also to reinforce that, beyond the constraint of the infrastructure, we can also be looking into spaces outside the building, to also enforce certain learning processes and competencies. So Evergreen Secondary School, I just want to recap, we have got stage outside, that are very integrated with the garden, space where we have stage and seating arrangement to see and watch students perform and to celebrate their achievement. So this will build confidence. This will have the needs of competence satisfied. So I feel that this is a very important aspect to be thinking, and we should be starting to think about it. And with this flexibility, we can also allow students to come in.
with the agency to design their own space. So with that, thank you. Yeah.
Associate Professor Chu, thank you very much for your comment. As Teacher Chu mentioned, so we have like a common question or like a common challenging. That's the reason why I'm very happy. I know that like Singapore has like a same kind of like a challenging. So how to improve the like learning ability of the student? I'm a special expert of the architecture, so that I don't have any evidence. However, the like this kind of the layout change of the like space change will be contributed to the like improvement of the student ability. So the like as even the like any place you can choose, the like some school want to stay the like their own seat of the like classroom because like he or she loves the like his or her desk. And some of the like student is just to jumping and like hopping for the like a different group and like to listen the like a different idea and like to learn something. So various type of the student is in Japan and like a class. That is why I think we want to provide of the like a very comfortable space want to provide to the student, and like a student will be tend to find of the like where is like a best place, and also the like a counter or the like a table will be the like one of the like a tool to facilitate of the like a discussion. Thank you very much. So this is like a perspective of the student. So on the other hand, from the teacher's perspective, when developing of the diverse learning of the experience while using the various facilities, the approach differs from the lesson center, from the fixed desk and the chair in the classroom, because this kind of the like standard or the like a traditional space or the like layout will be much easy for the like manage or the like control of the student. However, the like different space or the like layout are required at that time. How to utilize of the like this kind of the space, and how to utilize of the like this kind of the like space, or how to make the space. Do you have any kind of the like good training or the like retraining method? So Professor Tang and Professor Ito Ikeda, so please your comment. In Singapore, I heard, so teachers are also receiving the training and the retraining of the like active learning teaching method. So if you have any good example, please let me know.
Thank you, Moderator Kuburi, for this very, very important question, because research shows that all the reform, one of the most important factors for the successful reform is the teacher. So we can have the best planning, best facility, but if the teacher factor fail, the reform fail. So that is why you asked this very important question about the teacher. So it is true that while we do all this reform, we also have to prepare the teacher. So you are right that the teacher professional development plays a very important role even as we provide facilities. So even in the case of Singapore, we also realize we have to pay attention to, at the same time when we change facilities, how do we empower the teacher? So teacher professional development is very important for two aspects. First is to help the teacher mindset change in understanding the teacher and the curriculum. So one of the things that we emphasize now to the teacher is that the curriculum is not just the content or the learning objective. The curriculum, very important, is the process. Thirdly, the curriculum is the ecology. So the teacher need to shift their mindset to see that the process of learning is very important and to be trained to help to understand what are the collaborative design that will help develop the students' interaction and collaboration. And also thirdly, how teacher can be empowered to be the designer of the learning environment. So it's not just the architect or the learning expert to design, but the teachers need to know how to make the different arrangement in order that the students can maximize interaction. Yeah, that's what I would say. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ito Sensei, please. As Professor Tan has said, I totally agree with him, especially as for the individualized learning. This is the key word. So one person has one tablet per each. So in various schools, many teachers would say, this classroom is not suitable for so-and-so subject. So as for group activities or discussions, this total number of students is too large, so too noisy. Or if they are to talk and if they are in the same classroom, they cannot move around. So in other words, as for functional point of view, the space should be changed, is what the teachers are feeling on the ground. But on the other hand, from the past, as for the space, there had been kind of a wish for teachers to change the space. But as for Japanese teachers, they are given a certain classroom and they feel that they should not change the classroom. They feel that they should protect the classroom per se. So if they want to make and manage so-and-so subject and this room is not suitable, then why don't you move the furniture or why don't you use another spare room and make some kind of arrangement? And they would say, oh, really? Can I really change the classroom? But by using the next room or so, and once they change, and they would feel that, okay, I can change it and rearrange it. So they would be feeling that they would be able to do the trial and error in those classrooms. So for the teachers to utilize the classroom, I think is just move it is the first starting point. And as for the next, they have this certain platform. And during the workshop, there was this teacher who had said, oh, okay, then I will be able to move furniture. I am allowed to move a furniture. And this teacher had made a trial and error. And sometimes they have borrowed the furniture from the Board of Education and so on. So I think the important thing is how to make the starting point. So as for architecture, maybe use a spare room and make an experiment and so on. I think that is kind of an attempt we can do.
So to provide opportunity and encourage is very important. Thank you very much for your comments. So continuously, I want to talk about different topic. Next one is initiative for the improving of the learning environment. So today, the presentation made it clear to Singapore mass school as implementing of the such reform to the improving of the learning environment, and that effort focus on the children's well-being, such as a furniture, a carved and a very colorful furniture are using. So being slowly pursued to achieve such extensive transformation, I imagine it required a considerable resolve for the national policy initiative, along with a substantial budgetary commitment. So, what do you think? The factors that have enabled such initiative to progress at the government level in the Singapore? why you success of this kind of the reform. So Professor Tang, please give us some comment.
Difficult question. Budget. Budget is always limited. So even though I say that the Prime Minister announced money for the infrastructure, but we all know when it comes to the operation, when you have to assign the budget, you have to be careful because it's never enough money for everybody at the same time. So I think one of the most important thing, and that's why this conference I think is very important, is the planning. First, I think we have to have a good planning. Number two, we have to prioritize. We have to prioritize based on equity because different schools have different needs in phases. So that is why we have to prioritize in the different phase. So in Singapore, we try to be systematic. But recently, as Professor Chua actually mentioned, one of the initiatives was to have this innovation development budget where the school can apply. And then based on this, the school idea, we give the budget rather than just one budget for everybody. So I think we will need to be careful to plan, to prioritize, and very important to have also bottom-up proposal. And those with the good proposal, we give them to start first. And then from there, we can see good examples. Because we don't want to just spend the money, have innovation, but it's not best optimally used.
Thank you very much. So government is already government effort we understood. However, not only government level, the school level, there is some challenges effort made, I think. So in the school, so what kind of the challenge effort is done for to get the budget and for the evolve or the improvement. So this kind of the change or the reform, sometimes the most of the case in Japan, architecture is involved with the project. However, teacher Chu mentioned teacher have the initiative, and at the same time, student involves the project. So I want to ask you to your comment. Who is promote of the project?
Okay, so I think teachers, educators, giving them the agency to be part of this whole process is important. Right, so I like to just hinge on the example that Professor has just mentioned about, once the mindset is changed, right? So they are even borrowing furniture to change the environment. So beneath every educator, right, is the one to improve the learning environment, to facilitate learning for their students. That is something that is in their beliefs, right? So with that, right, and a change mindset, teachers, schools will welcome the opportunity for them to have bottom-up initiative. It's important that when we look into all those spaces that we want to rethink, reimagine, and redesign for our learners, that they need to think about, at the end of the day, what is it that the space will provide for their learners? What is it that they will be developing in their learners? And it's also important that it is also a reflection of the school culture and identity. So therefore, you can have, like I mentioned, top-down support through grants where they can apply. But the bottom-up initiative, the one to change the mindset, has to be bottoms-up. And it's important to have professional development and continuous support to help to facilitate this change in our school leaders as well as our educator. Yeah.
I understand. So top down and bottom up, both approaches are very important. I understand very well. Thank you very much for your comment. So next, Japanese side. So in Professor Ito mentioned, so when replacing and renovating of the aging school facilities, improvement to the learning environment are often implemented. So from your perspective, Professor Ito, having visited the various municipalities and schools, I would appreciate your comment on the effort being made in Japan. So I want to ask some comment in Japanese example. So the teacher Chu mentioned also Professor Ito, and your comment is very similar. A little bit difficult question because in Japan I already visited some of the area. So anti-earthquake and reinforcement, just to focusing on this one. So at that time, interior or also space improvement is not so high priority. That's the reason why in Japan, they doesn't have any, they doesn't utilize of the opportunities. So existing facilities and the school building, how to say, for example, to one student have one tablet. So even they change to the school room or school room, so they can connect it. So sometimes classroom is very small or narrow. That is why half of the student move to the different move. So half of the student is not directly see the teacher's face. However, it works for the management for the teacher. So at that time, many of the students or the teacher feel to we want to have spare space or the different space. Of course, I saw some of the good example for the enforcement of the anti-vibration building. However, function and needs is not clear yet. That is why I think that recently they just do have some of the needs of the to change it.
As for Singapore, they have this design assistance and they have this bottom-up approach. So with this bottom-up approach, of course, they would be renovating it anyway. So maybe they would come up with an idea with a certain kind of wishes they would like to have. So that's kind of my approach to this optimistic way of thinking. Thank you very much. So in the future, there would be a bottom-up approach, just like Singapore, being seen in Japan, I guess. And that's, I think that's a good expectation. Thank you very much. Then, Ikeda Sensei, you are the specialist in comparative education and has researched Singapore's educational reform trends for many years. From Ikeda Sensei's point of view, what can Japan learn from Singapore's initiatives? Or where Japan's own efforts deserve recognition? Can you elaborate on that, please? We have heard the word top-down, bottom-up, and also the government and schools on the ground. As for Singapore's environment, once again, we need to check that, because Singapore, they have the Ministry of Education, NIE, And also within MOE, they have Academy of Singapore Teachers, AST, that's a specialized organization, and also you have schools. So these 3 or 4 organizations, they are collaboratively working and trying to execute reform. So it's not just that Singapore is a small country or the population is small, but rather, if you talk about Shizuoka Prefecture, maybe you can imagine Shizuoka Prefecture. Shizuoka Board of Education is like a Ministry of Education in Singapore, and they have this educational board would be equivalent to ASD in Singapore. So the teachers would have their superiors and other juniors who had just graduated NIE. So within that environment, what can they do? If they receive a budget, huge budget, then what can they do on the ground? So that's a kind of an image you would like to have. As for Japan, the Ministry of Education, if you look at the staff of the Ministry of Education, I don't know whether they have enough teachers who had experience of teaching on the ground. But as for Singapore's Ministry of Education, they have many staff who had experience of teaching. So they are the professional teachers as well. So that means a collaborative work between teachers and staff as well. So in other words, those people who do not know the situation on the ground, they would not be involved. So if you look at the syllabus, it's just 30 pages in Singapore, but if you look at the syllabus in Japan, it's so thick. That's very different from Singapore. So the country would be giving framework and money only. So that would then be left to all the teachers on the ground, curriculum design and so on. And they would learn from each other. And also they could share the information as well. So Singapore has that kind of a thick engagement. So even if the syllabus is so thin, they can still come up with a very abundant classroom teaching. So they will be able to envision the photo map as well. It's kind of an outcome-based approach. So if they want to serve a kind of a visual art lighting for so-and-so classroom, then NIE and MOE would have that information straight away. So because of the specialized knowledge, they would be coming up with the policy making. So I think that is quite a referential for Japan. When you think about Japan, I think they should have more initiative on each prefectural level. And of course, Japanese teachers are doing best in terms of learning circle and PLC, and Singapore is learning from us as well. But I think on the ground, as for the curriculum design, that should be left to the teachers on the ground in Japan, I think. So that are the issues, because there are some places which have different student. For example, there are many non-Japanese students and so on. So in other words, I think the design ability should be nurtured in university. And because I teach at university, I think that is what's lacking in Japan. So in the future, I think we should learn that aspect from Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comment. Yes, I think that size itself, country size itself is like a very small, like in the Tokyo central area is like almost the same. However, they are like a country and they have like a strong power, and like a ministry or the agency is like directly connected to the each school. So this is like one of the strengths I understand very well. So in Japan, so we have the different size and different population. However, we have different prefecture and also municipal and nation or government. However, on the school and also personalized learning and also collaborative learning, they try to promote. That is why bottom up. So they want to request or to upper level. So I think that like a connection will be very important, I think. So next point for the space and facility. So the future of the like a school and like a school facility, I want to talk about this one. So in the presentation by Professor Tan and Professor Ito, I believe the like a main point was like a innovation in the information technology will likely continue to the, like, transform the nature of the learning. I would greatly appreciate your comment from your respective professional perspective on how learning and school and educational facility will be evolved in the future. So first is like Professor Tan and Associate Professor Chu and Professor Ito. Please your comment. So Professor Tan, start please.
So I think towards the future, there are two very important inflection change that is happening now for the teachers to understand and for all of us to understand. So number one is that the nature of knowledge have changed. The nature of knowledge have changed. So with ChatGPT, in fact, ChatGPT already give you the knowledge, not just knowledge, but also knowledge that can reason. ChatGPT is already thinking, knowledge that they're already thinking, right? So number one, the nature of the knowledge have changed. So now we need to understand how to relook knowledge today. That's point number one. Number two, because the nature of the knowledge have changed, the nature of the learning and the nature of the participation in learning will have to change. So that is why I think we therefore have to help the teachers to see that when you are teaching now, it's not the teaching the content, but teaching the thinking. And also, most importantly now, last time in the teaching, mostly is the teacher. The teacher make your teacher thinking visible to the learner. But now, in order to help the learner learn, we have to help the learner to see, as a teacher, I want to see, make the student thinking visible. You know, student thinking visible. So you can imagine, right? Last time is I project my thinking. I'm projecting my thinking. But now, most important is the student project their thinking. The student thinking must be projected for each other. So now with the technology, the most important thing is we want to make student thinking visible to one another so that they can sharpen their thinking.
Thank you, Prof. Tan, for the response. I resonate with that too. I think in order to really look forward to preparing a future ready learner, it's important to see about how we harness technology. I mean, there are challenges. There are also potential in the use of AI. So right now, critically, we have to equip our teachers with an understanding of why is it that we're using technology or AI in particular? What is it that we're using as a tool to complement our pedagogy and how we are using it? I think this is very important. But also bearing in mind that there are actually a lot of timeless constant that we are looking in. So in this era, digitalized age, when you talk about developing learners, we talk about developing ethical thinking, like what Prof. Tam had mentioned. We talk about values and character. These are timeless constant. And this is what is it that we need to continue to facilitate in our pedagogy and thus the environment to allow that to happen too. It is also important to actually look into cognition, meta thinking, inferential thinking and things like that. So what are the pedagogy? Pedagogy like inquiry-based, problem-based. And thus, the next point that leads to, and the last point I'm going to say is that then your curriculum has to change. Like what Professor you have mentioned, right? All the panelists you have mentioned. We need to really look at the curriculum for our subject, for our learners, to start to design, the curriculum, the assessment, especially in this digital age. And curriculum now, as what has been shared, also involve the learning space. Yeah, thank you.
So, Professor Tan and Association Professor Chu. So I think that like a school, whole of the school building is like a space of the learning. So the AI, artificial intelligence, and it's not necessary to the quick response or so that reason what is a question and how to find out and how to communicate and debate it with as a student. These will these contents will be more valuable, I think. That is why a dialogue and collaborative learning and cooperative learning and how to work together with other student and how to study with other student. So these are very important. So just to the input of the knowledge is insufficient. That is why a whole of the school is a space of the discussion and the activities space, I think. That is why I think that a small space for the function base will be very important. So this is very important, I think, in the Singapore learning ecosystem. Both of the teacher mentioned the circulation of the learning is very important. They value it. That is why stimulation of the very important for the circulation of the learning. So in Japan, we want to accept of the same kind of the idea, I think. So it's a little bit different from the expert of the architecture. However, AI and information technology is developed. So their students themselves are using. That is why school doesn't need student need to learn that kind of technology in the school. However, school still existed. So because of the same age student is being together in the school area or the classroom, this kind of scheme is very important. And the tablet are using for the every individual student and everybody use. However, some of the group is made.
So rather than not looking at one tablet, but rather let's manipulate the tablet together at the same time, I think would be more enjoyable, and that would lead to more creativity for the pupils. So making something or exercise or distract something. So in other words, I think the experience to move your body can be done in a fun way in classrooms. And also to have your mates, not by having a programmed relationship, but rather without any information being filtered, but spend time together is like a more human-like approach. And I think that is necessary for human beings. The other day, the school was to be renovated, and I was in one of the board meeting there. So what kind of school would the students want? And they had a questionnaire. And there are so many opinions from pupils. For example, they want to climb trees, or they want to eat their lunch in a so-and-so area. So those are the so many opinions they received on the questionnaire. But when I was a primary school student, if it's cold, you have to tolerate. If the toilet is not clean, you have to tolerate that as well. So the school environment was not a place where you would expect so much. So that's my generation. And as for the children expecting so much on schools, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good trend. Therefore, to summarize, a meaningful place for pupils to come is, from the architectural point of view, is a big role for the architects to play. Thank you very much indeed. As you have said, of course, online activity is quite active, but that would mean that the school is not necessary for pupils to come, and that's a kind of a surfaced approach. But why should pupils and students should come? I think that's one thing we need to think about again. So for speakers, thank you very much. And as for children's environment, that's about it. Now we would like to move on to the space for staff and teachers. When promoting individualized learning and collaborative learning, the importance of considering students' well-being was raised in discussions. Since this likely applies to teachers as well, I would now like to address the topic of teacher and staff spaces. So let us take on that briefly. First of all, Japan and Singapore's staff space. Let's listen to the situation. So let's use the slide. As for Japan, I would like to make some few comments. In our center, several years ago, we have looked at the space for teachers and staff, and within there, they have 4 functions. So that's where we had paid attention to. So let's look into the 4 functions of the staff room. So first is for the space for individual work. So that should be fulfilled. Of course, the teachers would have space for themselves, but in the old days, it was full of files and papers. But now, because of the ICT environment, the desks are becoming much more tidier. But as for the space, or the area of the space, I think is not made huge difference, but because of the ICT, it's getting much neater. Second is the space for collaborative work, and I think that is also a necessary space. So these are the meeting places or the space for individual work for teachers. And as for the junior high school, they would be having a subject-based teacher meeting rooms as well. Next page, please. And third function is space for refreshment for the staff's break rooms. So that is where I had paid attention. But unfortunately in Japan, I think the workers' well-being, not just for teachers, but in general, is not quite strong at.
So this is like a school for there is like a meeting space and like also like a communication place in here. And also like this is a rest area for like a women's changing room where like they can lay down if they are like feeling not feeling well. So if the like there is like no idea that like if there is like a female is like not feeling well, that like there is like a kind of like a space for the like rest. And like number 4 is like a space for the communicating with children. This is in front of in front of the like area. Like this is like a kind of the like space will be the like for the like communication with the like a student and like a teacher. And I want to ask, is the like Singapore example. So Professor Tan, please.
Okay, maybe I'll just start before they pull out the slides. Teaching is a complex activity. Teachers has to play multiple roles, from being a curriculum designer, facilitator of learning, shaper of character, and also sometimes a counselor and also advisor to parents at times. So therefore, their workspace, is important. The workspace that will impact on their performance, impact on their satisfaction, and impact on their well-being. In fact, research has also shown that, it's important to have consideration of the environment that the teachers are in, the workspace they are in. So I think what is important is when teachers come together, it's not just about talking about informal chats, but also there's a lot of times where they engage in professional conversation about students' learning as well as about their teaching. So therefore, it is also a space that will facilitate cross-disciplinary thinking. Like what Prof. Tan mentioned, is the think across, right? So with that, let me show you some spaces in Singapore schools. So we have a particular space in Singapore. You can see that this space is a very collaborative workspace. It's got space for individual work. You don't disturb me, leave me alone at the sides, right? But there are also the central space where you can have collaborative work. But visibility of thinking and thoughts is important. So that's the reason why, they have smart boards, at this common area to help to facilitate, different perspective, collaboration, discourse, etc. So this is important because at the end of the day, with gadgets, technology affordances that complements that space that they are in, it will facilitate conversation and it will facilitate collaboration. So this is another example. Again, very vibrant colors. In Singapore, we like to use colors. This is also a collaborative workspace for the teachers. But I would just like to mention that we do sort of integrate collaborative space with also spaces for their refreshment. After all, food is important, and we always go for food for comfort. It's basic needs, right? So in Singapore, there are spaces that integrate both the needs for refreshments and food with the collaborative space that they can work together. So this is our teacher. So I want to give you this example. So this is the center at the National Institute of Education, the Singapore Center for Character Citizenship Education, the one that Prof. Tan is the director. So you can see that this workspace here, you have the center where it is collaborative in nature, but you also have individual working space, right? But there's also a pantry, and the pantry will then provide them with the refreshment and the food to sustain us. At the same time, there is this, again, a space for collaboration. So you sort of integrate, the need for food and refreshment, but also it can also be brought into informal chat and formal discussion for effective teaching and learning strategies, etc. Okay, so this is a staff lounge at NIE. It's available to all the faculty. Again, you see the furniture now is a bit different, right? It's softer. It is different configuration because it's to facilitate both informal and formal professional chats, okay? And this is another configuration of another staff lounge in NIE space at a counter, with all the refreshment inside. You can see and you can take them, you can eat them, right? But also spaces, different configuration depending on which are the sitting arrangements that you are more comfortable with and which one facilitate a discussion more to you. Yeah, so these are some examples of the spaces that we have created over in Singapore for teachers. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we saw that like a great facilities. We just jealous. However, in the from Singapore presentation, so how to make the teacher and the staff space in Japan. So Ikeda sensei or Ito, Dr. Ito, Professor Ito or Professor Ikeda, please give us a comment. I visited the Singapore school. So the teacher's room. So the it's partition were used for the some of the partition they put on the family picture and they just eat the snacks and they can secure the very individual space, and also the meeting space is also secured. That the reason why the is subject level or the grade level discussion can be done in that kind of the common collaboration area. So the individual booths and also mini space, and this is a very impressive for me. And compared to the Singapore, in Japan, the teacher's room is it's a kind of very broad, and it's a very difficult to keep the secret or the confidentiality. However, that is also very good because the teacher and the teacher is discussing in loud voice. That's the reason why. However, never intentionally just to listening for during to the work, and that at that time they just get some of the information and just to join that discussion or provide some hint of the student and the family situation. And Singapore, there is a reception, and also there is reception staff, and even people from outside, there is area and to receive to check and their name and appointment, and they just escort to the discussion space. However, in Japan, there is no space of the reception area, and we doesn't have any special discussions room. And Singapore, there is staff is very sufficient. So for the kindergarten, so staff came to the room and they prepared next class or the next room. So staff is understand very well, and they prepare very well, and teacher just come to the school and just teach. So the relationship of the collaboration work of the staff and the teacher is very great in the Singapore. So that is this is not the space, but this is a great point for the Singapore.
Ikeda Sensei, thank you very much indeed. So Japan and Singapore, you have seen both cases. So your comment was really interesting to hear. Then you have seen both advantages of both countries' cases. So finally, this is the final point for the panel discussion. So Professor Tang, please. Throughout the lecture, we would appreciate if the teachers from Singapore could share any impressions or words of encouragement regarding Japan's initiatives. Any words of support for Japanese cases? Tan Sensei, please.
I sing a song for you to express what a teacher cry from Japan and from Singapore teacher. It goes like this. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than what I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm working with destiny. Why? Because actually what we need to give to the teacher is time. A lot of the teacher Japanese teachers are good teachers. Singapore teachers are good teachers. They need time and space. What I just sang to you is a Whitney Houston song where she represented, in a way, the teacher's voice that give me time to organize my space, give me time to be empowered. And when we give teachers time and we trust them and we give them professional development, we will be able to have the best well-being of the teachers and the best well-being for the students. Thank you. You can sing.
My apologies. I can't sing, so I will just share with words. So, yeah, agree that time is needed for the professional development and also the development of all the competency needed, for the revamped of spaces for students and for themselves. I just wanted to share that throughout these 2 days, visiting schools and also interacting with academics and educators here in Japan, I realized that we have similar thoughts about what is it important in developing our learners for the future, the competencies, the thinking, and learning space becomes a very vital area of consideration when you want to develop such competencies. So I see that as one of a very positive, start, to a very creative use of spaces for our learners. That's number one. Number two, teachers here, educators here are very, they share freely. They are very committed, and they always want the best for their students. So when I visit school, the teachers, the principals, they share with so much enthusiasm and passion, because at the end of the day, they know what they are doing is the best for their learners and for their teachers. And what actually struck me here is how they partner with the community to have learning spaces and learning experience for their learner. And this is something that we can also in Singapore learn from Japan educators and academics. So thank you so much. I always believe that it's through platforms like that when we discuss, we reinforce our ideas, but at the same time we have different perspective, and we can then move towards developing our next generation of learners together. Thank you so much.
Tan Sensei, Chua Sensei, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your song as well. Because the time is running out, the panel's discussion ends here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So from here, we want to have a Q&A session. So if you have any question, so please raise your hand and please tell us your name and where is you are working, and both English and Japanese are available. I'm a sales, and my name is Sasa Mago Isobel. So I came here for the role of the school facility responding to the education reform. So this is a very great opportunity to learn a lot. So a little bit different from the discussions point. However, I want to know a sound environment is in Japan and Singapore. So for example, there's Swedish, and a sound environment is very valued. So the school, for example, for specific panel can be used for to concentration is improving, and to improve of the also good and also the well-being of the teacher. So the teacher, it's if the student is too noisy, the student need to be used for the too loud voice. That's the reason why it's a very high stress for the teacher. That's the reason why I want to ask you to the Singapore and Japan of the sound facility or the sound environment. So there is original place of the sound. So the reason. So the Professor Ito, please start to your answer. So this is very interesting for me. So the academic conference of the architecture and sound symposium was held, and Fukabori-san and I just participated. And sound environment is one of the topic. In Japan, it's not focused on the sound environment. That is why some of the specialists or the expert of the sound, they said they just prepare of the opinion report to the Ministry of the Education and the Ministry of the Child. However, the special education occasion at that time, they prepare some specific condition for to use a specific panel or instrument. However, not only Japan, not only school. So most of the Japanese not serious for the sound and noise. So in some school, in some of the classroom, at the same time, they have the music school class. However, they doesn't matter. Even the louder voice, louder sound is outside.
Thank you very much indeed.
You asked a very good question, but very complicated question. So I agree with Professor that it's very complicated to solve sound issue. I was a member of a school board before, and we had one situation because of construction and all that. The noise was very high, so we make a special provision, only special provision for just the classroom for the air condition and to create more shutters, But normally, it's true. We just have to get the students to adapt to different noise within school. We have so many different schools. And in Singapore, we have many challenges. For example, we also have the military training, and the plane flies, zoom, 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 and it's make a noise. The parents complain. But we couldn't do too much, So I think sometimes they have to adapt. And I think after a while, if they adapt, it's not so bad, yeah.
Any other question? From Koshigaya, my name is Nagase. I'm a primary school teacher from Saitama. In my school, we are having this school reformation, and for everybody to look at the same direction, for the staff, and to come up with something new, I think is a thing they are not quite good at. So it's quite difficult for us. But I think, is it a kind of a nationality of Japanese people, or is it because of the teacher training? Or in Singapore, I think they are very enthusiastic in challenging something new. Is there any kind of a hint or something that you have in common in Singapore? As for the nationality, again, in Singapore, they always aim for the best and they always choose for the best from Finland, Canada, Japan, or Israel. From all these various countries, they look into those countries. So as for moral education, they look at Israel and Japan. And if it's multicultural education, Canada and New Zealand. So they always look and search for the best solution and mix that into their ground. Because it's a small country, they don't have natural resources, so they have to just rely on education. So they are always looking to the best in the world, or otherwise they would not be able to survive. And I think that's the nationality, and I think that's also the people's thinking in the government in Singapore, and also within the teachers' thinking as well. And Japan is an advanced country with 120 million people, and I think we have had success stories, but they are quite contrary to Singapore. So looking to something new is the kind of mindset that Singaporeans have. And that is my impression. And as for sound and noise, Singapore is an equatorial country, so they have air conditioning or fans, and they have the noises from outside through the windows, and they have classroom from outside as well, noises from outside as well. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
Actually, we also learn much from Japan, especially lesson study. You know, many of our teachers come to Japan to learn lesson study from Japanese teachers. So I think it's the time. I think because Japanese teachers work the longest in the world, I think. Yeah. So I'm sure if you give your teachers more time, I think many creativity ideas will come from the teachers.
So maybe I would just perhaps share that from the perspective of professional development. So in Singapore, right, to develop yourself professionally as a teacher, we see it as a continuous development from pre-service, initial teacher preparation, all the way to in-service. So we provide a lot of professional development opportunity. So in Singapore, we have got 3 tracks, you know, the teaching track, the leadership track, and the specialist track. And for each track, there are milestone professional development courses for them. So after being in the service for some time, they'll come back, you know, to then recharge, rejuvenate, and rethink about how is it that they want, you know, to improve for their students. So there are opportunities like that, you know, for the teachers in Singapore. So this may be one perspective that also allow the teachers to continuously be rethinking and reflecting on what they are doing and to have improvement for their learners. So that's one perspective that I want to share. The second perspective is that right from initial teacher preparation, we are looking into developing teachers for 5 roles. They are the facilitator of learning, shaper of character, designer of architect of the learning environment, agent of educational change. And definitely they are also co-constructing knowledge with the learners. So these are the roles that we put as outcomes, you know, for our teachers. And we do develop their values, disposition, knowledge, and skills, you know, for them to be improving themselves for their learners. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any other question? Thank you very much. So we want to close the panel discussion.